Good morning. So we made it through the first half of the week. There was a lot of stuff to get done, all kinds of accounts to get made, getting oriented to the classroom, figuring out Discord, jumping into Zoom, which, by the way, was my favorite part of the week so far, was getting to talk to almost everybody in class on Zoom. That was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the next time that we get to do that. So I've opened up the next section of the class for the rest of the week. Normally, all of this will get open on Monday. So next week, there won't be like cut in half, okay? So it'll just be opened up on Monday. So that'll be a little bit easier. What I wanted to do was to show you a couple of things, point out a few resources, and give you a tech tip that might speed up your time. So hang on with me. I'll try to keep this short and sweet. Let's jump over to Moodle first. And I added, just to show you a couple of things, I added in important documents, the schedule is set up. So you can click on the class schedule link. That'll pull up a Google Doc, and you should be able to just go through week by week, and you'll see the weeks that we have Zoom. So it's every other week. So the blue weeks are the weeks that we have Zoom. And hopefully that'll make it easy for you to figure that out. You might want to print this off and just check off topics as you go. It's up to you. When I was taking online classes, I kept a binder. I printed off almost everything because it's hard for me to keep track on the screen because there's so much stuff. That was a free tip, by the way. Anyhow, no charge for that one. So you'll notice now that there's a week 1B June that's open. There's a lot of resources in there, but the key thing to remember, you're supposed to create a GCF account at the end of the last section. And so make sure you log into that before you start any of this, because what it does, and I'll show you, it keeps track of things that you've done. It makes it really easy, but only if you log in. If you don't log in, then it has no way to really keep track of stuff. And so you'll see the video for this week, which isn't there quite yet because I'm in the middle of making it, and the checklist for this week. And again, I broke it down into where you could have a printable version. And if you go through this, it'll break it down for you. This is the one to print off and actually check off. Did I do this? Did I do this? Did I do this? And so it's, again, in the same format, think, learn, and do. Now let's go back over here to the class. You will notice that there are a lot of videos to watch. It's just easier. Like a lot of people, it's hard to read. However, we do have some tutorials to go through. We're going to start that. But the big question I want you to think about is, what would happen if the internet went down for a day? Now, I already got some feedback from some of you about the attention economy video, which is good. So if you didn't watch that, you need to make sure to watch that, because next week when we do Zoom, that'll be our questions. We're going to talk about that. And so there's a Zoom meet and greet sign up times here. And the main topics are going to be the attention economy and what if the internet went down for a day. So you're going to want to watch that. This article, let me flip that around. This video, this is a direct link to the video, came out of this article. And so if you want more details, you can read it if you want. But definitely watch the video. It's only a couple of minutes long. Now, let's get to the nitty-gritty stuff. Here's the learn part. There are 4 GCF Learn tutorials. Each tutorial, well, with the exception of the tip one, each tutorial has several parts. So let's jump over there and see what that's all about. Well, actually, let me back up here. I'm going to make sure I'm logged in. So I'm going to click the login link. Now, I already logged in and I clicked save it. So I'm going to sign in. It already has my account there. And that's going to take me, we're going to talk about this page a little more next week, like what I want you to do with it. But this is what I'm talking about. As you go through different things, and here's a really old tutorial, Word 2010, that's like I did that one a long time ago, but it's going to tell you where your progress is. And then when you get all done, it gives you a nice little certificate on most of them, not on all of them, but on most of them. So let's go back now that I'm logged in. Let's go back so I know specifically which ones. And there's mostly just one thing I want to show you about how they have their tutorials set up. It could be a little confusing. It depends. So I've linked to the main page of the tutorial. Now you notice I'm logged in and I already looked at this one, so it checked it off. That's what I'm talking about. It keeps track of it for you. I'm going to have you go through, it's set up in lessons, and I think you'll find it really interesting. This happens to be the long one. The other two are shorter. But this one has 11 lessons and a quiz, okay? And again, down at the bottom, if you want to open it in its own window, you can click the alternative link, or there's this icon up here, and that icon actually opens it up in its own window also. So you might find it easier to open it in its own window. But for right now, I'm just going to stay here. So start off at the top, and you just go through and read, and it's got a combination of reading, lots of good graphics. Every once in a while, there's a good video. As a matter of fact, I think, is it this one? One of them at the top, it says, go to the YouTube playlist. I didn't link to that, but it's there. That has all their videos. Oh, so here's a video. And so when you get down to the bottom, it says continue. So they have this set up in a kind of interesting way. So if I continue, lesson 2, what can you do online? Now let's go back to the tutorial. It's the same thing. So you can either hit each section one at a time, or you can just keep hitting continue down there, and it ends up scrolling into one big page. They do have these set up. So see, now it just goes straight to the what can you do on this page. They do have these set up so that they're pretty printable. So remember, this is our textbook. If you want a hard copy, you could definitely do that, just however that works on your computer. Usually it's a Control-P, or you go up to the File menu and hit Print and play around with it a little bit. It'll probably print better if you open it in its own window. For sure it'll print better if you open it in its own window. So there's several of those tutorials. Today the focus, or the rest of the week, the focus is just like, how does the internet work? What is it all about? Let me go back to here real quick. What can you do online? How do you connect? What is the cloud? A couple of you asked me, like, what is the cloud? You always hear that. What in the world is that? Using a web browser is an overview, links, how they work, uploading, downloading, using search engines, understanding URLs, which is fabulous. There's a brief how to set up a Wi-Fi network and how to choose a web browser. So these are all useful. They're all really good. And then when you get down to the bottom, just take the quiz. I have the quizzes linked farther down here in the do section. Okay, if you want to go directly to the quiz. And here's the thing about the quizzes. They self-grade, and you can do them as many times as you want. Okay, so they're pretty easy. This one's like 11 questions, I think, and the other 2 are 5 questions. So they're not big quizzes. They're just to test your understanding. The other thing we're going to talk about, the other 2 tutorials, are 2 of the most popular web browsers. And most people don't understand what a web browser is or what it does, or some of the features. And if you use a different one, actually, if you go to the GCF Learn site, let me go back there. I'm just going to open it in its own window, because under the internet, because you might use a different browser. So if I go to topics, I go to internet skills, and then I go to the internet, view more tutorials. There's going to be a couple others. There's Edge tutorial, and there's a Safari tutorial. They don't have an Opera tutorial, which is a web browser that I like to use. But I use all 4. And so what I want you to think about is, like, what does a web browser do? It's kind of like, there's a lot of different word processors. You've probably heard of Microsoft Word. You've probably heard of Google Docs. You might have heard of OpenOffice. There used to be one called WordPerfect for back in the olden days. Okay, I don't think WordPerfect's still around. And they're all word processors, and so they all kind of do the same thing. They process words, right? You type stuff, you can make stuff bold. Web browsers are sort of the same way. They all let you access web pages. And, but they have different features, and they have different setups. It just depends. Just like Microsoft Word isn't quite the same as Google Drive or Google Docs. Chrome is not quite the same as Firefox. And so it's kind of interesting to learn the ins and outs and some tricks. I'm sure you're going to find some tips and tricks. that you will find very useful. So that's the main goal for the rest of the week. And because we started this unit later in the week, I'm going to give you until Monday afternoon to go through it all. All right. Again, normally everything's open on Monday, but in this case, I'm going to give you till Monday afternoon until like try to get it done over the weekend. That would be your goal. Try to get all this done over the weekend. I don't think it will take you terribly long to do it. So what can I tell you next? Everything, if you did everything you were supposed to do, which I didn't here because I didn't get a grade for my own assignments, but if you did everything, you're going to see your progress bar checked off, just like the week one. So I went through week one, I checked off all the things I looked at and did. And so you can say, oh, that's done. That's a done deal. I did post grades for everything in the getting started last night. Whoops. I posted grades for it. But if you're missing something, like if you don't have all of these checked off, well, they'll all be checked off because I posted grades for them. But there's a couple of ones, if you didn't get full points, that's what I should say, and you still would like to wrap that up, you should let me know, but you need to get it done over the weekend because we don't have enough time to really backtrack, and I don't want you to get behind. I don't want you to start off behind. But a few people started class late, so that's okay. Well, I'll give you guys a little bit of time to get that wrapped up. Anyhow, so make sure you check on that. And so that's, let me do a quick refresh here on the page. See if there's anything else I should tell you. I did add a link here that will come more in handy next week. So there's the login link, and then this other link actually just takes you directly to the transcript page. And like I said, we'll deal with that more next week. For this week, just get familiar with the tutorials. So you ready for a tip? I have a super good tip because there's a lot of videos, and I don't know about you. I mean, and they're mostly short. There was one or two that were like 11 or 12 minutes long, mostly my videos. But let me pull up a YouTube video. By the way, this is really interesting. What would happen if the internet went down for the day? And let me show you. Oops, I didn't pull up the actual video. Here's the video. I clicked the wrong link. So when you have a YouTube video, oh, this one's going to go through an ad. Go through the ad. It's, you know, it's a thing we have to go through to make YouTube free. I have a friend, his job at Google is to actually make sure the ads work all the time. And that's his job. He's a programmer. So anyhow, so here's his video. And it's like 10 minutes long. Okay, so it's not terribly long. But if you click on the settings, and this is a good tip for podcasts also, look at playback speed. Now, my husband listens to these at double speed. I can't listen to them that fast because it sounds like a squirrel. And this is actually not the... Okay, I can't listen to it that fast. I usually go to 1.5 though, because it goes a lot quicker.
So I knew I was dealing with a professional.
Sounds a little bit like a chipmunk, but not quite as much like a chipmunk. It's not too bad. So anyhow, that's my tip for the day. That's all I think I need to cover. Make sure you sign up for a Zoom time. We're going to do the times. Let me look. And I'm telling you, this is a big deal to try to figure out like which 3 times the most people could sign up for. That was tricky. So I have a morning time, afternoon time, and an evening time. If none of these times work for you, like totally don't work, you can't make it work, not going to happen, please give me feedback, because I gave blocks of time. And so if 10 o'clock doesn't work, maybe 9 o'clock works, and we might be able to shift it. Although I'm not a morning person, so that's a little bit early for me to have half a brain, but you know, but I'm willing to work with you. And so anyhow, so we've got Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday seem to be the times that worked for the most people. So we'll see. So definitely get in there, sign up for that before like sooner than later. So I have an idea of what's going on. And again, send me feedback on Discord. It's been really fun chatting with people. Focus all your communication through Discord to me if you can. just because it keeps it all in one place. We've been using text messaging with some people, and I like that. That's fine. But Discord's like text messaging also. So I don't mind like a regular text message, but sometimes I get a notification. I'm trying to figure out where in the world it came from, because there's a lot of places it could come from. So that's it. I'm super excited. This has been a really good group of people. It's been fun so far to talk to everybody, and I think we're going to have some more fun. So I'm looking forward to what you learn.